Hi there, welcome to my channel.
Returned to pick up a forgotten item. That's when two men wearing ski masks and gloves entered behind them. Another employee found the victims when she arrived to open the store at 8 a.m. Saturday. Police think it was a crime of opportunity, a robbery that turned into rape and murder. 30-year-old Jana Murray is described as a valiant fighter who would not have hesitated to protect herself and her 27-year-old co-worker who was beaten but survived.
Norwood, who claims she was the victim of this violent crime, is now the suspect. She is due in court here in Rockville today. Police say that her story just didn't add up. Norwood is charged with murdering her co-worker at a Bethesda yoga store. Her arrest was a stunning twist in a murder that shocked the community. 30-year-old Jana Murray was killed earlier this month after closing the store at the Lululemon Athletica store on Friday night. They were found the next morning. Norwood said that two masked men wearing gloves confronted them, beat and sexually assaulted them, killed Murray, and left Norwood tied up, but the evidence said otherwise. Now, the Washington Post is reporting that that workplace dispute had something to do with stolen merchandise from the store. Police say there was other evidence that did not add up, that Norwood's injuries appeared self-inflicted. There were also only two sets of footprints. Now, a review of court records showed that Norwood did have some financial struggles a few years ago, including a lien for a student loan, as well as
it was a pair of shoes that first tipped them off. The crime scene had two pairs of bloody footprints, but police believe one of them was faked by Brittany Norwood using a store pair to appear like a perpetrator's footprint. And when police found Norwood bound and gagged, they now say the position she was tied up in was suspicious, that with her hands tied above her head, she may have tied herself up.
As we began analyzing the forensic evidence and looked at the medical reports, it was not supporting what Ms. Norwood had told us.
All of this contradicts the story Norwood tried to tell police. According to her, after closing up this store for the night, she and Jana Murray went back to pick up Norwood's wallet. Two masked men followed them in, bound them, sexually assaulted them, and when Murray resisted, beat and stabbed her to death. But medical examiners found no evidence of sexual assault on either victim. According to police, Murray's car had been moved and had been spattered with Norwood's blood. And on the night of the killing, workers at this Apple store next door say they heard two women's wounds were superficial, Murray's were deep. It was a scene painted in blood. One expert say suggests intense
rage. The team that
rage.
had known her longer than me had told me things like, watch your locker, keep it locked. She's been known to steal things.
She says she never imagined Norwood was capable of a grisly and, police say, calculated.
Disturbing evidence described a scene in which Jana Murray was viciously attacked for 20 minutes. Prosecutors say it was Norwood, her co-worker, who repeatedly struck her in the head and strangled her in a rage, calling it shocking in terms of the level of violence.
When this investigation began, detectives had only the story of Ms. Norwood to go by.
Norwood initially told police she was also robbed and sexually assaulted by two masked men inside the yoga store, but prosecutors say she made it all up, even planted false footprints and tied herself up. In court, they say there were pathological lies told by the hundreds. Her cunning and ability to lie is unparalleled. They also spoke about a possible motive for the first time, saying Murray had looked in Norwood's bag and allegedly found stolen merchandise.
Jana called the manager with her suspicions after she closed the store.
Jana Murray's family is devastated.
I've never felt so torn apart.
And her big brother, Hugh, has just one message for his sister's alleged killer.
I'm an attorney. I believe in the justice system. For me, it doesn't bring back my sister. I still move on and try to do the best I can to bring Jana's spirit, love for life, to as many.
She had a gash on her forehead and stitches in her hand.
Did it look bad?
Didn't look that bad.
Those wounds? Self-inflicted, according to charging documents. Police also believe Norwood used a zip tie to bound her own feet and hands and used a sample shoe in the store to create size 14 footprints at the bloody crime scene as a cover-up. The biggest break in the case? Crime scene evidence found in Murray's car. When police confronted Norwood yesterday, she gave them, quote, an unbelievable account that her assailants made her move the victim's car.
She also said, too, that she didn't think she was getting out no time soon. So I guess she'd have to get what's coming to her. She committed murder.
was convicted in the Lululemon yoga store murder. Today, she and her attorney have filed an appeal.
The police did not orchestrate that meeting. She called the police and asked to come in to speak to them. She set this up. The reality is it was just she had been spinning her story the entire week.
The former yoga store saleswoman turned murderer says she deserves a new trial because prosecutors relied on police interviews in which she claims she was placed in a small room given the impression she wasn't free to go and wasn't read her Washington Post. Her attorney writes Miss Norwood felt that she needed the detective's permission to terminate the encounter as evidenced by her continued presence and participation in the interviews despite her clearly and repeatedly expressed desire to...
Before sentencing Brittany Norwood in a hearing this afternoon, prosecutors say Norwood would be a tremendous danger to the community if she were ever the judge. Prosecutors say Norwood's ability to portray herself as an innocent person is what makes her so dangerous. A judge has already sentenced Norwood to life, but her family is pleading for the chance at parole.
I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on Brittany Norwood's appeal and the reasoning behind that appeal. Now, it stated in one of the videos that her team said that her Miranda rights wasn't read to her, and so that is the reason to give her a retrial. Now, her team said that during 2 interviews at the police headquarters on March 16th and March 18th of 2011, Brittany was put into a small room and questioned by detectives who already doubted her story and made her feel like she couldn't talk freely. Although detectives said that she voluntarily came in to the police department and she spoke on her own with very little questioning. But the team says that that's not true. They argued that a reasonable person in that situation wouldn't feel free to end the interview and walk out, which under the law means that Miranda warnings should have been given to Brittany before further questioning began. It didn't matter because the court ruled that if a person isn't in custody, even an extended police interview can be voluntary and admissible without a Miranda warning. That's essentially, what they said, and that, no, she's not entitled for a retrial, which, that's the law. She kept talking. The court says that should have been covered in the initial trial, which it wasn't. I don't know if it was different attorneys, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Also, that's just one of many issues that could have been pointed out that would have prohibited her from getting a retrial anyway. Her inconsistent statements saying that, the story kept changing. First, she said she wasn't in Jana's car, although traces of her blood and Jana's blood was in the car. And then she said, the kidnappers made me get in the car, which didn't make any sense at all. Also, the people next door, the employees next door heard arguing and someone saying, please don't do that. Let's talk about it. And a bunch of dumping as if people were in a physical altercation. Which, with the people next door, you think that they would have went over or at least called the police or had them go over there and do a wellness check. But they said that they didn't know if it was serious. But if you're hearing thumping and someone saying, let's talk about it, please don't do that, it makes you wonder why they didn't call the police. Brings me back to that bystander effect theory where the woman, I forgot her name, Kitty Genovese, was in New York City and she was literally being killed in front of a group of people. Well, not directly in front of a group of people, but a group of people saw her getting killed and screaming for help, and no one did anything. a lot of people were saying, oh, well, I thought someone else would call, or, but no one called. And ultimately, Kitty lost her life. And so it seems like that was one of those situations that was going on next door. And that was just one of many. The faking a sexual assault and cutting a hole in Jana's genital area to try to mimic assault that occurred, although no DNA or anything else was found to indicate that. Because if you can get that angry over someone confronting you for stealing some items, so what if you got caught? I mean, so what that she got caught stealing the items? You would have at the most lost the job and more than likely get fined or have to pay restitution. That would have been a whole lot better than going to prison for the rest of your life and taking someone's life over something so minute. It just didn't make sense. And so someone who was that quick to anger to the point where they will take someone's life, they do not deserve to be walking amongst us. And thank you so much for watching.